A manufacturer has the following direct materials standard. The standard is the budgeted. Whenever he tells us that the amounts or hours or whatever is standard, so it is budgeted. And we will color it with the red color. For one of its product, direct materials are 3 pounds per unit. Each pound costs us $1.60 per pound. So the total cost or the total budgeted cost for the material is 4.80. The company records all inventory at standard cost. We record all inventory or inventory on the standard cost, which means on the budgeted amounts. Data for the current period regarding the manufacturer, budget and the actual production, the data for the budgeted amounts and the actual amounts for the product, as well as direct material purchases and direct materials that we purchased and put into production, and what we used in the production of direct material for manufacture of the product are presented as follows. Those 3 lines are not useful at all. You can neglect them while you are in the exam. And you have to easily determine what to neglect and what to concern about. Budgeted production, which means that this amount is planned 8,000 units. We are planning to produce 8,000 units, while the actual production was 7,500 units. The actual will be colored with the green color. Direct material purchases that we actually purchased was 25,000 pounds. Because we buy direct material, it is calculated with pounds. Total cost was 38,750, which is an actual amount too. Direct materials put into production is 23,000 pounds, and you have to take care that we bought 25,000 pounds while we used in the production 23,000 pounds. The material quantity variance. He is asking about the material quantity variance. You have to use the following table whenever there is a question about the direct material price variance or the quantity variance. This is the price variance and this is the quantity variance. And you have to save these equations in your mind carefully and use them in the exam. He is asking about the quantity variance of the material, will be colored with the light blue. Quantity variance. So we have 3 amounts that we should calculate. Actual quantity minus budgeted quantity multiplied by budgeted price. The budgeted price is an easy amount because it is mentioned here. 1.60 is the budgeted price of the direct material. So the budgeted price is 1.60, which is given as we mentioned above. Where is the actual quantity used in production? We have 2 actual quantities. Actual quantity we have purchased, and the actual quantity we have used into production, which is $23,000. Whenever we are talking about the quantity variance, so we are investigating the work of manufacturing manager or the production manager. So whenever we are asking the manufacturing manager, it is logic to ask him about the materials that he put into the production, which is 23,000 pounds. So the actual quantity will be 23,000 pounds. Why we didn't use the 25,000 pounds mentioned above? Because we actually bought 25,000 pounds, but it didn't put it into the production. It wasn't put into the production. So we will not use the 25,000 pounds. 25,000 pounds that we actually bought is the actual quantity that you can write it here. He is not asking in the question about the price variance, but you have to know if you are going to calculate the price variance is the difference between actual price minus budgeted price multiplied by actual quantity. So the actual quantity here will be 25,000 pounds. And you have to carefully learn that there is a big difference between the quantity that we bought, actual quantity, and the actual quantity that we used. There are two actual quantities. When you are asking the purchasing agent, you are talking about the materials that we bought. And when you are talking to the manufacturing manager or the production manager, you are talking about the actual quantity you have used. So where is the budgeted quantity to finish the direct material quantity variance? The budgeted quantity is a tricky quantity or a tricky amount that you have to be careful while calculating it. So let's move those lines. Okay. Budgeted quantity is the quantity you are planning to use of the direct material. Common mistake that students use the 8,000 units. We are going to produce 8,000 units. Each unit will use 3 pounds of direct material. So common mistake is to use 8,000 final products or finished goods multiplied by 3 pounds of direct material. So we will use 24,000 pounds of material. This is incorrect amount. Is not a correct amount. And I will tell you why. The correct amount that you should use is multiplying 7,500 units that you actually produced, multiplied by the direct material that must be used per each unit. So the equation will be 7,500 units multiplied by 3 pounds of direct material will give 22,500, but we will calculate on our calculator 7,500 multiplied by 3, 22,500 pounds. This is the correct amount to be used. You have to write here 22,500 to be written here. And now we will talk about why the last line is the correct amount while the previous one is not. In order to be fair, you have to compare the actual quantity of direct material that you used to produce 7,500 finished goods with the budgeted quantity of producing the same amount of units, which is 7,500. To be fair, you have to compare the blend amount and the actual amount of direct material will be used for the producing of 7,500 finished goods. And it is not fair to use this amount. It's not fair to write here 24,000. Why it's not fair to write here 24,000? Because the 24,000 is the budgeted amount of direct material that will produce 8,000 finished goods, 8,000 of outputs. Direct material 24 will produce 8,000 of outputs. While the actual quantity that you wrote here is for producing 7,500. So it is not fair, it is not correct to compare the actual quantity of direct material with the budgeted quantity of producing another amount of outputs. It's not correct. So the 24,000 must be 22,500 written below. 22,500 will be colored with the same color. And now we will calculate quantity variance. 23,000 minus 22,500 multiplied by 1.60 is equal to 800 positive amount, which is unfavorable. Unfavorable because the actual quantities that I have used in the production was much greater than the planned amount. So I used much more material than planned. It is not a good thing. So it is unfavorable. So the answer will be A, 800 unfavorable. This is the correct answer. But what if we have finished the question? I'm talking about another thing now. But what if he is asking me about the price variance? Whenever you are calculating the price variance, you will use another actual quantity. The actual quantity of the production was 23,000 pounds. This was the actual quantity of direct material. And 25,000 was the actual quantity that you have purchased. As we are asking or investigating the work of purchasing agent, we will use the amount that he actually bought. Where is the actual price per unit and the budgeted price per unit? The budgeted price is easy. It's always common between the two sides. 1.60, which is mentioned above with the red color as above. And we'll write here 1.60. And this is the same amount presented on the right side of the schedule. This 1.60 is the budgeted amount used here and used here. This is the budgeted price of 1 unit of direct material. Actual price, where is the actual price? It can be calculated easily. We have paid 38,750 to buy 25,000 pounds of material. So we can calculate it by dividing. Actual price will be equal to total paid amount divided by total direct material purchased. Actual price will be equal to 38,750 divided by 25,000 will equal to 38,750 divided by 25, 1.55. And then we will write 1.55 here and calculate the price variance minus 1.60 multiplied by 25,000 is equal to negative 1,250, negative 1,250, which is a favorable value. Why it is a favorable value? Because the purchasing agent bought with a price which is less than budgeted. He bought with a cheapest price, which is good, which is favorable. This side is not asked in the question, but we took it anyway. The correct answer will be 800 unfavorable. The answer will be A. Best wishes. Thank you.